we should be good to go, so we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for October 9th, 2019. Qs and SPY rallying back up towards yesterday's high. Qs up about 1.3, SPY about 1.2. All right, we are back into the area where we kind of triggered this sell setup. Still going to be bearish going into tomorrow as long as this daily sell setup remains, but it is looking like markets aren't ready to go yet. All right, so going into tomorrow, going to remain bearish. All right, as we are challenging that daily sell setup. Could be that the market also wants to wait and see as earnings season gets started next week. All right, so a bit of an inside bar, but actually pretty decent amount of retracement on that bar from yesterday. Hasn't quite closed the gap there, but looking less bearish. But overall, going into tomorrow, still going to have a bearish bias based on the daily and the hourly, although the hourly is trying to break this attempt at a downtrend. Okay, so still bearish going into tomorrow, but it is starting to look less bearish than it did today. Impressive move up today. Yeah, definitely more bullish than I thought we would be today. All right, and so I think what's possible also is that we're back in this area where there was a lot of back and forth. Of course, news is always going to be a factor to move the market around. And so trying to be too aggressive or early with the bias, I think in this area, right, we had to kind of learn quickly that just let this area deal be our guide. Over it, we're bullish. Underneath it, bearish, because a lot of kind of sloppy stuff, you know. It's funny when we went back and looked at it, and I was saying you can see why I wanted to use this area, and I was asking them, what does this look like? What kind of pattern, right? And it obviously looks like a mess. And so we're actually back into that area, so maybe not too surprising that we're starting to get a lot of back and forth, red, green kind of. And then we'll see if the hourly can actually pick a direction. Was looking like he wanted to go lower, but now actually looks higher, so we're getting less and less bearish. All right, but we'll just wait and see, and then kind of see what the market wants to do, what opportunities we get. Now, the focus is always generally finding things on its own page and finding some nice gaps. And then, so we started off today. I did like the IRBT gap down to see if this wanted to go lower. It kind of went right at the open, never really gave a setup, and then actually has been grinding higher ever since. So, you know, I don't play this long, but nice uptrend there. You could have. I don't have a strategy for that. It's a pro gap for me. Now, the weekly was getting pretty novice here, which is why I didn't want to be aggressive with a short on this. But yeah, no play on the IRBT, though. Had a nice move. All right. What I did have a call on was the X. Wanted to see this in the afternoon here, see if it was going to roll over. A lot of selling at the open. Wanted to see if that had another leg down. And we had a call underneath 1004 there, right underneath that bar. Ended up going higher instead, so no trigger, no foul, no harm, no foul kind of thing. So I just had to cancel that once it took out the stop. It was only going to be like a 12-cent stop, so once we got to the low of the day, that actually wouldn't have been a bad little play there. And I did like the daily, the weakness here, right? Breaking underneath this support, looking lower on the weekly. You notice the difference here, right? The way that this has been a more gradual sell-off as opposed to the IRBT sell-off, much more extended, right? Much more likely to kind of capitulate on that selling. So that's why I like the X a little bit more than the IRBT, but X didn't want to trigger, so that's fine. All right, so no calls for me, no trades for me. I generally take only the things that I call, and so since the X didn't trigger, it meant no place. But that doesn't mean there weren't opportunities, okay? And it wasn't that we weren't aware of them. Things like the QGen today. I know some people played this as a long on the QGen here, which actually was the same strategy as the NIO that we played last week. All right, but because of the nature of the gap down, I didn't want to be as aggressive on this. So the difference in the way that the NIO and the QGen potentially put on the bottom is that the NIO multiple bars down after the gap down, right? More potential, I think, for exhaustion. So that's why we played it long on that day. The Kyujin, which also gapped down and then bullied the gap, right? Started to rally. I didn't like the fact that it was coming from this gap down, but actually worked out pretty nicely. Here was the idea on the Kyujin. Had a nice breakout right there. Breakout right there, and then off it went. In the morning, I think it's hard to tell, hard to know if that's going to get this kind of rally. Same with the NIO. We let that first rally happen, prove to us that it wants to make a move. And then after that, right, if it sets up some kind of base, we can play it, or a pullback, even better if it pulls back and then sets up a base, right? So I kind of wanted to bring those to your attention because I just noticed that there's some pretty big opportunities there. So the NIO gapped down and then got bought. OCGN similar, but a little bit different as well. So notice the extended selling. I really don't like bottom picking too much. I much prefer playing in the trend, playing along with something that's bullish or bearish on all time frames, right? Having time frame alignment. So for these plays where you're playing kind of the reversal, the anticipation that the bottom is in, like on this OCGN, is a little bit harder for me to be aggressive on, but also very similar in that you had that capitulation on the daily, selling, 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 and then, right, you get the reversal. So notice on all of these plays, the NIO, the OCGN, and the QGen, I'm not saying as it makes new lows, just buy the new low. I'm saying after it makes a new low, and if it establishes an uptrend, and it could be on the 5 minute, could be on the 2 minute, right? In this case, actually it gapped up and then didn't start the uptrend until, right, carved out this bottom, put in a lower high, and then actually made a higher high right here. And then it took off, right? I'm saying, if these things are extended down and then they show you an uptrend, right? I'm seeing some pretty good opportunities there, right? We only took out of those 3 that I've identified, we only took advantage of the NIO a couple times. And then the QGen, I know some people played today, so very good job if you played the QGen today. Like I said, the gap, I was a little bit worried that there may be some longs still short. I'm going to play it long. I'm worried about those trap longs because what do they have to do? They have to sell, right? So that's going to run it, be some potential resistance there. So seeing these after making new lows start to transition higher on the intraday is providing some good opportunities. Okay, so did want to kind of go over that just because, even though I didn't take any trades today, something that I will be on the lookout in the coming days, and then seeing those work can be a little bit more aggressive on playing them. Okay. All right, so noted here on the Qs and SPY, we are rallying back. Still going to have a bearish bias because of the daily sell setup, right? We may just not be ready to follow through quite yet, but we are looking less bearish than we were yesterday, but still going to have a bearish bias going into tomorrow. If we take out the daily sell setup, we will be as neutral as can be. We'll see where the rally ends, and it looks like we're going to be, again, treating this as a range like we did last time we were in this area. Okay, so looking more and more like that's a possibility, but for now, going into tomorrow, we will be bearish. All right? All right. So I hope you did well today. If not, kind of stayed out of trouble. That's really where I was. And so going into tomorrow, we'll see if we get maybe some better gaps and some better opportunities. If not, I'm going to be looking for some of these that established an uptrend after getting sold hard. Okay. All right. So that'll do it for today's market wrap, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good evening, everyone.